As stated previously, this is the 34th Annual Sports Hall of Fame banquet, and we would not be here today without the leadership of our prior board members and volunteers that have served the past 30 plus years. There are too many people to thank and name individually, but we want to recognize everyone that's been a part of the Hall of Fame, so we've had a great group in the past. I would like to thank and recognize our current committee members for their hard work and planning and for putting this celebration together, as well as the volunteers that have helped with the banquet. I'm going to have our committee members please rise when their names read and we can recognize them at the end. Franz Bolter, Ken Hubert, Charlie Madsen, Mike Perotka, and Tim Tuzna. They make me stand up here, but Tim's going to do it one of these years. So in these committee meetings, I've learned more about coaches, plays, activities from 1960 to the 2000s, and I realized I should have a tape recorder with me, and I need a dump button on a few of those, but there's plenty of stories shared in our committee meetings, but we also like to get work done. And Tim and I are the ones working, so we're usually on task trying to get it back to that. I would also like to recognize our donors. They're listed in the program. I won't name them all, but without their support, this would not be possible. So for all of our donors that are either here tonight or listed in our program and sponsors, greatly appreciate your support. We want to recognize all of the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame members that are in attendance this evening. We will recognize all of them as a group versus naming them individually, just so we don't miss anyone. The members of our Hall of Fame have gone on to do great things and are grateful for each and every one of you. Would all current Faribault Sports Hall of Fame members in attendance tonight please rise for a round of applause. For those that forgot their name tag, they got push-ups afterwards. And for those that are new to this, we've heard plenty of stories from former members, and you can just leave here knowing that each and every story you hear is true. There's no fibs or fictitious names going on at the end. So, since our first banquet in 1990, several of our Hall of Fame members have passed away, but their legacies will live on for generations, for years to come. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends of those members. We'll just have a brief moment of silence to recognize those individuals. Thank you for that. Talking, and let's hear from our class of 2025. Chris Reavers will be introducing our members and are so thankful he was able to join us this evening. Chris is a graduate of Faribault High School and an outstanding ambassador of our community. After graduating MSU Mankato, Chris went on in the broadcasting industry. They hear you daily? What time do they hear you on the
podcast?
Podcast daily, the Garage Logic podcast. I also want to thank Coach Franz Bolter for putting our write-ups together that Chris will read. Chris will read the bio and introduction for each member. We'll follow the list in the program unless we get bribes. You want us to change it otherwise. And I didn't get any bribes, so we're gonna follow the program order. You can remain seating while Chris is reading your bio, and then come up when it's your turn to speak. And I know all of you, you've heard in the past, are very competitive. You wouldn't be here otherwise, but you do not want to have the record for the longest speech. So it's not a record you want. And just a side note, if you see my dad get up, that is not your signal to leave. He just had his hip replaced, so he's trying to stretch that out. So with that, we'll get to our program. And Chris, you ready? We'll start with Drew. When you're ready. He looks ready to go.
First and foremost, thank you to Brent and the entire Sports Hall of Fame banquet for having me again. It's an honor, and I truly do appreciate it, so thank you once again. We're going to start with Drew Lazinski. I asked like 2 times how to pronounce your last name, so. All right, thank you. Drew is the son of Dennis and Judy and the brother to Peyton and Tess. He's a 2014 graduate of Bethlehem Academy. As a high school athlete, he started both football and track, running the 100 and 200 meter sprints and utilizing his speed and strength in both sports. He lists the most influential people in his life: as his parents, his head football coach, Scott Hansen, assistant coach, John Gross, and strength coach, Russ Kennedy. Drew and his teammates experienced banner years in football in both 2012 and 2013, teams on which Drew played a major role. In 2012, the Cardinals were Section 1A champions and state Class A runners-up. And in 2013, they were again section champions and made it to the state semifinals. Individually in football, Drew was a 2013 team captain, the 2013 Faribault Daily News Player of the Year, his team MVP, All Gopher Conference, and a member of the Minnesota Associated Press All-State Team, and led the state in tackles with 178. As a junior in 2012, he was named All Gopher Conference Honorable Mention. Following his graduation, Drew headed to St. John's University, where he earned a Bachelor of Arts degree in Economics and Computer Science. He also played football for the Johnnies for 4 years, experiencing great success both individually and with his team. As a team, the Johnnies qualified for the national playoffs all 4 years. In his senior year of 2017, the Johnnies and St. Thomas played the first football game at Target Field. I was there. That was awesome. Before a crowd of 37,355, a Division III attendance record that still has not been broken. Individually, Drew was a 3-year starter on the defensive line for St. John's and a team captain his senior season. During his years there, he had the privilege of playing with Ben Barch. Sorry, I knew I was going to mess that up. He ended up becoming a guard for the NFL San Francisco 49ers, who was originally a 4th-round pick of the Jacksonville Jaguars. After graduation from St. John's, Drew commuted from his job in the Twin Cities for a year to be an assistant football coach at BA under his dad, Dennis, who was the head coach at the time. He was hoping to do that again next season when he moves back to Faribault with his fiancée, soon to be his wife, BA graduate and former BA volleyball player, Madison Fetters. Drew believes that sports instill discipline, accountability, and the value of hard work. Principles that are vital in a world that increasingly often prioritizes instant gratification. Hear, hear. He says that they unite communities like few other things can, creating shared pride and purpose. Local institutions are vital to this, and he is very grateful for groups like the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Drew, and welcome to the 2025 class of the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame.
Wow. First off, I want to say how grateful and how honored I am to be here tonight. This is so cool, and I'm just very excited to be here. I prepared a few remarks for this, but there's some people I'd like to thank particularly first. So first and foremost, I would like to thank my parents. Thank you for always being there for me and showing me firsthand what it means to put others ahead of yourself. My parents, they always told me that they're proud of me and my siblings' successes and accomplishments in life, but they made sure that we knew that the most important thing is to be a kind person, and I think that's really great. I'd like to thank my little brother Peyton. He was always a much better athlete than me growing up, and he made sure I knew that. But it forced me to work very hard as a kid growing up to not lose to him too badly and everything. So I'd like to thank my head coach, Scott Hansen. I think he's probably the best coach I could have hoped for as a kid, and he was a real role model for me growing up, so thank you. And Russ Kennedy, who was mentioned, he's the BA strength coach, and he's been opening up the weight room for the kids at BA every day without fail for years. And I know for a fact that I wouldn't have had the successes that I've had without Russ, and I don't think that a lot of the success that BA had probably wouldn't have occurred also without Russ. So it's a big part of the school, and I'm very grateful for Russ. Going on, so I feel very fortunate to be here, and very fortunate that I was born into a town that has a lot of people who really care about it. I think that's great. I think, so BA stresses the value of selflessness. I think they do a great job teaching this. That and the concept of us all being a part of something much bigger than ourselves. And I think that both of these concepts are extremely valuable in sports. And they're a huge reason why our football teams, my junior and senior year, why we overachieved so greatly compared to what we were on paper, I think. And going off of that, I also think that life is about showing up for something much bigger than yourself, showing up for your team, your family, your community, and just leaving things much better than you found them. It's about giving more than you take in life, and I'm very glad that I grew up in a place like Faribault where that is valued, and you can see it lived out by so many people, and many of whom are in this room tonight. So what I'm trying to say is that I'm very honored to be here today, and I think that 10-year-old Drew would be ecstatic to see where I'm at right now. But I had a lot of help in getting here, and I've been blessed tremendously in my life. God has been very good to me, and I recognize all of that. And I hope to be able to give back so that the next generations of kids in Faribault can have as great an experience as I did. So thank you to everybody, thank you to the committee, and yeah, thank you.
Matt Gustafson is the son of Jay and Amy Gustafson, and brother to Kayla and Anthony, fellow Faribault Sports Hall of Fame member, by the way. Matt is a 2007 graduate of Faribault High School. He was an outstanding three-sport athlete, something becoming increasingly rare these days. He competed in football, basketball, and track, all 4 of his high school years, earning a total of 9 varsity letters. Over the course of his high school years, Matt was a 3-time captain, earned 4 all-conference accolades, was All-State twice, and All-State honorable mention once. In football, he is still tied for achieving the longest kick return in Minnesota State high school history with a 99-yarder. In track, he anchored multiple record-breaking 4x100 and 4x200 meter relay teams throughout his junior and senior track seasons. He also broke the St. Scholastica indoor 55-meter dash house record his senior season. After graduating from FHS, Matt moved on to Wartburg College in Waverly, Iowa, where he earned a bachelor's degree in social work. While at Wartburg, he played football for 4 years, earning letters all 4 seasons. He played on special teams as a freshman before starting 34 straight games at wide receiver in his sophomore through senior seasons. He was the only player out of his recruiting class to start that many games. He also finished in Wartburg's top 10 in career pass receptions. In his last 3 seasons, Wartburg finished as conference champions twice, including a 10-0 record his senior year, something that had been accomplished only 3 times in the history of Wartburg football. In talking about his philosophy of sports, Matt states, "Control the controllables." In sports, you can't control the weather, the officials, or the opponent. You can control your preparation, your focus, and your effort. Likewise in life, stop wasting energy on things outside of your power. Own your choices, your mindset, and your response to adversity. Finally, my favorite thing about sports is the competition. Competition is a gift. Matt and his wife Cameron are the proud parents of Rylan, 17, Peyton, 7, and Bryn, 5. He lists his dad, Jay, a Bethlehem Academy graduate and excellent athlete himself, as being the most influential person in his development. Congratulations, Matt, and welcome to the 2025 induction to the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame.
Good evening, everyone. First, I'd like to say thank you to the committee. Appreciate the honor of standing up here today. I have a lot of gratitude, and it's a humbling experience, getting to stand here and receive this nomination. I thought long and hard about, how I wanted to prep this speech and what I wanted to, say, and I could go on for a while, I'm sure, about, individual accolades or, tell stories about, certain plays. But for me, standing up here today is, more than just, what I was able to do, individually. It really goes back to the beginning, and that's where I have the most, appreciation now as, a dad myself and, having kids. But, it goes back to, coming from a family that's, had a ton of support. They were, I had two proud parents that, really, led, by example, that brought a, sense of enthusiasm to the household, that encouraged, and, not just, embrace, but encourage, a competitive mindset. They're the ones that really forged a path at the beginning. Before I even knew what, my purpose was, or what, what I was going to set out to accomplish, they were able to get me involved early and often. They encouraged me to try doing things, whether I was comfortable with it or not. And then through the years was able to figure that out. When I think of, the influential people, like, I can, obviously, I want to thank all the, coaches, teammates, my family, community support, throughout the years. All of us that are, getting inducted tonight, talking about, setting goals and working hard and achieving those things and being competitive, that kind of comes with it. We're not here by, I don't think, by luck. Those things kind of come without being said. But when I think of what really has, influenced me, it, like I said, it starts from the beginning, and it really goes to inside the household, and that is my dad. I got to sit, a few years ago and listen to my brother's speech, and it's an honor, and it feels good when someone speaks highly of you, and I appreciate kind words that my brother said, and a lot of what him and I got to experience is the same. But for me, as the oldest, and kind of go first, it may have been a little bit different. For me, I really early on, admired everything that my dad stood for. He is what even to this day, why I am, and has had such a huge influence on me. And his approach to things was what worked for us. He from the outside, you probably see someone that's very intense and competitive and loud at times. And within the household, it's funny because within the household, it wasn't like that, and it didn't need to. We had we were pretty self-motivated, and he was able to lead us in a way that worked. And in like I said, I didn't experience that type of stuff inside the household. So I always, when I reflect back on certain times or experiences, and I think back what it was like inside the house, it was very different. Dad, I know that something that has always moved me at times is I've come across that saying that it says that a father is the only man on earth that wants for his son to be better than he is. And that's always hit hard every time I see it, because that's the truth, at least my experience. And for me, it drove me, and it provided so much for me, having that feeling. And I would, it's something you can't put a price on. And Dad, I just want you to know that how much today is not just about what I accomplished individually, but really what you were able to provide for us. The amount of things that you and Mom did when we were young, to now I get to see it every day through you moved on from your kids to you're driving countless hours down to Iowa to support the nephew and niece and our kids, and it's something that I always appreciate, and something that I'm always thankful for. And so again, tonight, it was really not just about my personal achievements, but what's helped get me there, and that's really my family, the support, my grandparents. They played a huge role as well. They're here tonight, and so I'm so thankful that they are able to be here and get to see this. So thank you.
Haley Harn Warner is the daughter of Larry and Julie, and the sister of Grady and Hattie. She is married to Eric Warner, and they are the proud parents of Ethan, Violet, Juliet, Elliot, and baby boy Ellie, 30 weeks on October 17th. She is a 2002 graduate of Faribault High School and excelled in swimming and track and field for the Falcons. She also played basketball very successfully in her middle school years, but as the seasons began to conflict, she ended up dropping hoops from her active schedule. Haley was a varsity swimmer for 6 years, grades 7 through 12 at FHS. The Falcons were Big Nine champions in all 6 of those years, which came in the middle of a 13-year run of conference championships for Faribault swimming and diving. A letter winner every year, Haley swam in 12 events at state over the last 4 years and earned all-state recognition in 2 events, each from 10th through 12th grade. Individually, she claimed all-state in the 100 backstroke as a sophomore and a senior, setting a school record that stood for 8 years. She led off the medley relays that were Big Nine champ her last 3 years, and that relay earned All-American status her senior year. That relay held the school record for 12 years. Haley earned all-conference recognition and was a multiple event section champ for 3 years. She was named Most Valuable 1 time and Most Inspirational 3 times over her career. She threw shot and discus for the Falcon track and field team and went to state twice, getting 7th and 11th place for the shot put. Haley was also known for her powerlifting, which was not a Minnesota State High School League sport. However, she started off-season lifting to improve her swimming strength. She just so happened to train under Tom Chavis, whom her mother introduced her to. He suggested that she try a competition that was happening at Fitness in Motion when it was at the town square. She broke some records that day and was featured on the front page of the Faribault Daily News. She went to 1 more competition and broke more records, which at the time was pretty rare for a girl. After graduating from FHS, Haley headed to Xavier University and graduated with a bachelor's degree in social work. She also swam on their Division I swim team for 2 years. Haley reflects, "I had to really search hard to get the details of these awards because while yes, they are special and fun to recall, it isn't the trophy or the medals or records that were set that stuck with me. Those things can get lost or forgotten as the time goes on and life gets busy. However, the character that was built along the way, the perseverance that I developed in the moments that I overcame a fear or pushed past a limit, the people that I shared the tears behind, the goggles with, and the laughter between the wins, it's that stuff that stays with you forever. And that is what I feel sports, life, and legacy is all about." Congratulations, Haley, and joining your father, Larry, and in being inducted into the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame for the class of 2025.
Well, I'm a little bit nervous, which is rare for me because I typically do a lot of speaking, and I think it's because Coach Hubert's in the room and my parents and all of you, and it just brings me back to the days of swimming in high school where, you know, there's something about the nerves, just getting pumped up and nervous, and I would leave like the pool and go into my own space, which I didn't have the opportunity to do tonight. And I would kind of pump myself up, listen to music, come out, and not gonna lie, some people here who watched me swim would probably remember I would bang my head with my hands, jump around, and it would just help me calm down, which I'm not gonna do that here in the field. So good evening, I'm happy to be here. And yes, I am pregnant at 41 years old. I have to say I never knew how much swimming would prepare me for this kind of endurance. I read something that scientists discovered. Pregnancy pushes the human body harder than any sport or race ever measured, even more demanding than ultra marathons. Your heart works overtime, your lungs get squished, your brain literally changes so you'll bond and protect the baby. By the 3rd trimester, your sleep looks like someone living with chronic insomnia. And not just for us moms, our husbands too, when we go pee about every hour in the middle of the night. And your body even grows a whole new organ to feed the baby. And that takes more energy than your brain. But looking back, all those years of lap after lap, literally doing the same thing over and over and over again, repetition, consistency, sounds familiar, right? Moms and dads out there raising littles? And then there were the lactic acid sets. Those days made me nervous, really nervous. And the pull-ups after practice, because apparently swimming wasn't hard enough on its own. I guess I was training for motherhood all along. When I got the call that I was being induced into the Hall of Fame, I was very honored, but then they asked me for my bio sheet. And I realized I couldn't actually remember all of my accomplishments. I had to call Coach Hubert, and he filled me in on all the details. And it hit me. That's because while winning medals and breaking records are special and fun to recall, it's not the trophies that stick. Those can fade or get forgotten, as my bio mentioned. What lasts are the moments that build the character, the perseverance when you push past that fear, the tears, the laughter, and the people beside you who make it all matter. And that's what I believe that legacy is all about. And fittingly, the name of my real estate group today, which is what I do for my career, is Legacy House. It's not just about selling homes, it's about what lasts beyond the address. And truly, Legacy House feels a lot like a swim team. Each of us runs our own race, doing real estate. We're in our own lane, but when one person wins, the whole team rises. Being team captain back then taught me exactly what I do now. How to lead, how to encourage, and how to celebrate every small victory, because it all adds up. Now I can't stand here without sharing some of my favorite memories, the ones that still make me laugh and probably make Coach Hubert shake his head. I remember being very nervous before the season even started, spending all day between morning and afternoon practice in preseason, overanalyzing what the hard set was going to be. And I'm pretty sure I was always the last one in the locker room and the longest one in the shower, because my friends were there, and time flies when you're having fun. Sorry, Coach. Our pump-up song for the relay was Push It by Salt and Peppa, which Hubert told me continued after I graduated for many years. We would push it real good before every meet and every race. And fun fact, that song has lived on. It's now my birth playlist theme song. Right, honey? Yes, before and during the births of my kids, I'm bouncing on a ball and Salt and Peppa sets the tone. Because some things never change, you just find new races to push through. And then there was the race where my goggles decided to start leaking the moment I hit the water. By the time I did my flip turn, I was somewhere in the middle of the pool instead of my lane, or instead of the wall. It was chaotic, blurry, and I had no idea where I was. So basically, perfect training for parenting toddlers. And also for leading people through the high-pressure, chaotic, and surprise-filled adventure of real estate transactions. My motto then is the same now. Just put your head down, try to keep calm, and keep going. Before every race, I had a little ritual. Headbanging, leg smacking, and bright red nails. I always painted them red because to me, red meant strength. And now, as a follower of Jesus, I see it even deeper. The color red represents the blood that changed everything. The kind of strength that comes when you rely on His power, not your own. I was the girl who cheered louder for everyone else than myself. I'd lose my voice at the end of the lane because I was just so proud of my teammates. And honestly, the same joy is how I feel now, celebrating the wins of others, in real estate, in my family, and in my faith. Before I finish, I don't want to be the longest one tonight. I want to honor the people who shaped my journey. My mom, who's my personal coach long before I even had a team, who also was a stellar and long-standing coach herself in her career before she had kids. Even though literally she coached our rivals, the Owatonna Huskies, she gave great advice to me when it mattered, and we sure showed them. She's also the one who introduced me to my weightlifting coach, Tom, and brought me to Fitness in Motion, which Mike, the owner of Fitness, is here and probably remembers those days. And that changed everything for my career after 10th grade. She taught me about the pain threshold, that wall where you think you're at your limit, but if you push through, have faith, a whole new level of strength follows. And that lesson definitely still carries me today in business and motherhood and life. My dad, who showed up at every meet, pumped me up, a Hall of Famer himself, state champion in wrestling, and a man nicknamed Killer. You can imagine the motivation that gave a teenage girl. He'd say, come on, hey, you're tough. And I've carried those words with me ever since. My brother, Grady, 2 years ahead of me, the one who taped his goals above his waterbed because it was the 90s. He did push-ups for fun, got a six-pack, and dragged me to the cities for summer swim team because we needed to do something different than what the Faribault swim team did in his white Mazda convertible. He taught me that discipline happens when no one's watching. My sister Hattie, who's not here, she came to every meet. She was a lot younger than me. She played under the bleachers for hours and always looked up to me, even when I smelled like chlorine. Coach Hubert, of course, a man of few words, very similar to my husband, but something about his presence just makes you want to do better and be better. Not just for you, but for everybody alongside. Coach Fuller, who was the diving coach and a great presence in my life. Coach Weber, who was the throwing coach. And Amy Cowan, now Amy Shapee. She owns Shapee Jewelers. You should tell her this if you see her. She was my 7th grade basketball coach when I moved up to the 9th grade team, and she taught me how to box out, literally and figuratively. You guys all planted seeds that still grow today. And now life looks a little bit different, but the race goes on. My husband, Eric, he didn't know me back then, but has been one of the greatest influences in my life now. Together we built a family, businesses, and a legacy. And funny enough, yesterday was our 10-year anniversary of marriage. 10 years, and I like to think of it as just pre-season. To the many years, miles, and memories we still have ahead. Because if the first decade was the warm-up, I can't wait to see what God does with the rest of our race together. To my 19-year-old stepson, Ethan, the easy kid who tricked me into having 4 more. I met him when he was 2, and we got married when he was 9. He's very disciplined, and it often feels like he's my coach in the home, keeping me on track and grounded. He's taught me so much about love and the beauty of calm, quiet, and loyal strength. To my kids, Violet, Juliet, and Elliot, and the baby on the way, you are my greatest race yet, our most precious trophies. You've taught me that strength looks a lot less like a stopwatch and a lot more like grace. You give us a reason to keep going, stay focused, and live with purpose, even when life gets really tough. And kids, always remember this. What you're doing now, even when it feels small or unnoticed, it matters. Someday when you're old like me, you might get a moment like this. A call, a nod, a reminder that the things that you do when no one's watching, and the way you live in the quiet, simple moments, they truly do add up to something special and lasting. And thank you to those who nominated me for this. Violet calls it coronation, like a princess coronation, right? She's not wrong, I do feel a little like royalty here. I want to give a shout out to Mike Peruka, who made sure to share the news for me on social media, on all of my real estate posts. He commented. She also is inducted into the Hall of Fame. Make sure to come to this event. He probably should get the most valuable board member award, I would say. I love his heart to promote and encourage our Faribault community, and all of you here too. And to my friends, so many who are here tonight in the back, always cheering me on. The ones that rally together to get people to come support me today and back in the days of Falcon Pride. You have no idea how much that means to me. You've been a part of my journey since before I even knew what legacy really meant. So tonight isn't just about a title, it's about the people who showed up, the moments that build character, and the legacy that lasts. Because medals tarnish, records get broken, and memories fade. But the faith we live with, the people who shape us, and the love we carry forward, that lives on forever, and that's what legacy and this Hall of Fame means to me. So thank you all to this for this incredible honor, and if anyone needs me after this, I'll be the pregnant lady at the dessert table, carb loading just in case there's another race coming, or maybe just finding a chair, catching my breath, and soaking in this sweet moment, because no matter where I'm standing, this right here feels like the finish line and the starting block all at once. So.
Lauren Matthews Hansen, the daughter of John and Paula Matthews, sister of Drew and Jesse, and wife of fellow VA alum Colin Hansen. Lauren is a 2015 graduate of Bethlehem Academy, and she made major contributions to the volleyball and basketball programs in her career at BA. She was also a teammate and classmate of fellow inductee Peyton Schultz-Khalil. Lauren was a starting middle hitter for Cardinal Volleyball for 4 years. Those teams won state championships in 2011, 2012, and 2014. They also were undefeated in the Gopher Conference all 4 years, which contributed to an eventual 137 conference winning streak for BA. She was all-conference both her junior and senior seasons, all-state honorable mention in 2013, all-state in 2014, and all-state tournament in 2014. She also played in the Minnesota State Volleyball Coaches Association All-State Series after her senior season. In addition, she was a team captain in her junior and senior seasons, led her team in blocking both of those years, and was the MVP her senior year. Lauren also lettered in basketball as a freshman and sophomore before giving her full attention to volleyball. After graduating from BA, Lauren was a 4-year letter winner for the College of St. Benedict volleyball team. Her team won the MIAC tournament in 2017 and gained a spot in the NCAA tournament in 2015, 2017, and 2018. Lauren made all-conference in 2016 and was a Benny captain for 2018. She graduated with a degree in global business leadership and a minor in communications in 2019. Lauren credits her siblings, Drew and Jesse, as well as parents John and Paula, as being the most influential people in her life. Quote, "My parents never let me believe there was anything I couldn't do if I set my mind to something. They truly are the reason I have ever accomplished anything, sports or otherwise. And my siblings, both outstanding athletes, students, and people, showed me every single day what it means to have a good work ethic and how much hard work it takes to achieve your goals. To this day, they are still my most influential people." She also credits BA coaches Franz Bolter, Sue Jandro, and Abby Samarja with pushing her to be the best athlete and person that she could be, both on and off the court. She says that their encouragement continued to be with her in her college volleyball years and still to this day. "I'm so thankful for coaches that cared about me as a person and were examples of being good humans in their own lives." In addition, she credits all of her amazing collegiate coaches for influencing her as both a person and also an athlete. She credits her head coach, Nicole Trinka, Hess, BA grad and fellow Faribault Sports Hall of Fame member, for allowing her to become the best version of herself. She is the reason I was able to play the sport I love so much at the collegiate level, and gave me the belief that I could do so, even though things like challenging life situations and injuries. Her own keys to success are as follows. Focus on what you can control. Know that everyone has an important role. Don't take it all too seriously, and remember to have fun, and loving what you're doing makes everything so much more worthwhile and enjoyable. Congratulations, Lauren, and welcome to the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame class of 2025.
Standing here tonight, I'm filled with immense gratitude, pride, and honestly, a little bit of disbelief. Being introduced into the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame is truly such an honor, and so I want to begin my line of thank yous by starting with the Hall of Fame committee for the nomination and for hosting this event. When I sat down to write this speech, 1,000 memories, stories, highs, and lows came into my mind. Far too many to share in this time period, but many that reminded me of all this sport has given me and all of the people who have helped me, mentored me, and encouraged me along the way. One of the coolest things about sports to me is that it's never solely about the individual. Even though awards like this might have one name on it, it's not a solo achievement. It is a team effort, and I personally have been lucky to have been a part of incredible teams over the course of my career. Because sports is all about the team, there are many people on my team I need to thank for tonight. To my coaches, I was so fortunate to be a part of teams with amazing coaches that fueled my love and passion for the game and pushed me to not only be the best athlete I could be, but the best person I could be. Some of those coaches, like Sue Jandro and Abby Samardzija, I don't think are here tonight, but I still want to publicly thank them for all that they did for me. Both of them taught me and were my constant reminder that even though we want to win, volleyball is meant to be fun. I think most people in this room, and probably the state, know the name Franz Bolter. If you don't, you should. Franz, I can't thank you enough for all you did for me and for so many other athletes. Your love for sports and coaching is inspiring, and your ability to mold great athletes is truly amazing. I feel so lucky to have been coached, to have been able to play for you, and I might be almost 30, but the eyebrow is still intimidating. One of the most influential lessons I learned from Franz was to always play to win, don't play not to lose. That lesson stuck with me not only throughout my volleyball career, but has continued to influence me even now in everyday life. It is my reminder to always go for it in life, to take chances, and to, as he said, play to win. It doesn't mean you always will, but knowing you gave it your all is half the battle. Franz, I hope you know the impact you've had on not only my life, but the lives of many, many athletes. You are a one-of-a-kind coach, and I am so thankful to have had so many great years on your team. To my college coaches, Nicole Hess, Heather Piper Olson, and Amanda, I didn't think they were going to be here tonight, but Nicole is. Playing for the College of St. Benedict was such a big part of my volleyball career, I just can't not mention it. These three pushed me, challenged me, and developed me not only into a better volleyball player, but a better person. Whether it was the early morning workouts, the intense film sessions, or the tough love conversations after a rough match, every moment was a lesson, and I've learned those lessons, and I've carried those lessons far beyond the court. I'm here today because of the foundation these three laid. The discipline, resilience, and drive to constantly improve. I'm truly honored to have worn my Benny jersey, and even more honored to have been coached by you three. To all my teammates I've had over the years, some of the best moments I have from high school and college revolve around my teammates and the experiences I was able to have with those teammates. This sport gave me some of my very best friends and allowed me to travel around the country and the world. It is one thing to get to enjoy your passion. It's another to get to do it with people that love the game just as much as you do. Thank you to all my teammates for pushing me in every drill, lifting me up after a tough match, and celebrating the wins. I am blessed with teammates who have become family, and family as my teammates. Speaking of family, this might be my biggest thank you yet. As far as support systems go, I have one of the best. I will always remember my grandparents' front row in the BA stands, and my cousins, aunts, and uncles waving sticks with my face on it at the XL Energy Center. To my parents, thank you will never be enough. You are my first fans, my unpaid chauffeurs, my pep talk or text, and sometimes my reality checks. From the beginning of my volleyball career, you sacrificed your time, money, and energy, and so much more so I could pursue my passion. I haven't asked, but I'm pretty sure your butts are still sore from sitting in the most uncomfortable stands weekend after weekend, year after year. I think I can count on one hand how many games you missed in my 10 plus years of volleyball. So much so that I remember the one college game they missed because of a family emergency, so pretty valid excuse. They sent my brother and sister-in-law to the game just to make sure I had someone in the stands cheering me on. I am forever thankful for your unwavering support, your sacrifices, and your belief in me, even during the moments when I didn't believe in myself. From the very beginning, you never let me believe there was anything I couldn't do if I was willing to apply myself. I am a Matthews, after all. You taught me the value of hard work, humility, and perseverance, not just through words, but through the way you live your lives. To my siblings, you guys sure know how to make a girl mentally tough and competitive. Growing up in our house, you would have thought it was the Olympics daily. I don't know if anybody else with older siblings, if those siblings ever, let you win, boost your confidence. Yeah, I didn't have that. My ego took quite a few hits in the backyard basketball court, and I think I still have a scar or two from our air hockey games. Because there's one thing about mental toughness. If you need to get some, just be the youngest sibling. In my early years growing up, I don't think most people knew my name. I was often referred to as, Jesse and Drew's little sister, or Little Matthews. I will admit back then it used to grind my gears. but I quickly realized how much of a compliment those titles were. In being Drew's little sister, I witnessed firsthand what hard work looks like. An amazing student, a fantastic athlete, and an even better person. Even from an early age, when faced with difficult situations, I often think to myself, what would Drew do? What I always thought was my big brother picking on me, I now see was you pushing me to be my best and seeing something in me far before I saw it in myself. I will say I'm still scared to do P90X abs with you ever again. I think that ship has sailed. We are done. Despite that, I can't thank you enough for showing me when you think you can't do one more, do 10 more. Being Jesse's little sister is probably the reason I'm standing here today. Being only a year and a half apart, when Jessie decided to play volleyball, I wasn't far behind. If Jessie thought it was fun, she must be right. And she was. Getting to play out our high school careers together carries some of my favorite memories. You've always been there to encourage me, pick me up, show me through example of what relentlessness looks like. In sports, you were my go-to person for advice, and honestly, not much has changed since we've been off the court. Thank you both for showing me how to win with grace, lose with dignity, and keep pushing through every hard moment. Lastly, to my husband, I'm not sure how many people have the ability to stand here and say that their husband has been a part of their sports career throughout both high school and college, but I'm so lucky to do so. Although my high school coaches might not have been super thrilled with the idea of me having a new boyfriend the week before the state volleyball tournament, I think we can all agree now it worked out okay. We won state, and we're married. Colin, I can't thank you enough for the support you've given me over the last 11 years. You've been an unwavering constant in my life, and your endless support has never gone unnoticed. I know it's not easy spending years apart through long distance, and also dating a college athlete is no easy feat. You allowed me to focus on my sport while putting countless miles on your car, spend many of your nights and weekends in a gym or glued to a computer screen to support me. In sports, you don't often get to pick your teammates, but I'm glad that rule doesn't apply to life, and even more glad to have chosen you as my teammate. I hope our son finds a sport he loves just like we both did. And I will say publicly, he's been a little more into volleyball lately than football, so look at what you will. In closing, I just want to thank the sport of volleyball. Although it has demanded a lot of me over the years, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of facing challenges physically and mentally, all that it has demanded of me, it has given me even more. It's given me amazing memories, brought me so much joy, and reminded me, even after a tough loss, that the sun will rise again tomorrow. You just have to keep showing up, doing your best, and playing to win. Thank you once again to the committee for this award. I am so honored and so thankful to the sport of volleyball. To all my teammates, coaches, mentors, and family members, thank you for shaping my journey and making it what it was. I am forever grateful.
Kirk Miller is a 1984 graduate of Faribault High School. Kirk was a star for the Falcons as a runner in both cross country and track. He credits the great training that he was afforded by head coach Lonnie Nelson and assistant coach Virgil Lewers, as they instilled a great work ethic in him through the logging of many miles. He noted that Lewers was a very compassionate coach. He also credits Ted Nelson, who gave him critical running advice when he ran the LA Marathon. I ran cross country for 4 years and lettered for 3 years because we couldn't letter until our sophomore year. I ran track all 4 years and lettered each year. He was a critical member of both squads, especially in the 1983-84 year, when in the fall, the cross country team was the regional champ and took 5th place at the state meet, and in the spring, his track distance medley relay team won the Big 9 championship and went to the state meet. He was also a decorated individual performer. In cross country, he was voted the most valuable runner in both 1982 and 1983, and he went to state both of those years. As a junior, he placed 5th in the regional meet to advance to state, and as a senior, he placed 2nd in the regional and gained all state with his finish at the state meet. He was also team captain both years. In track in 1982, he was the sub-region 2-mile champion and then placed 1st in the region meet. He also placed 2nd in the Big 9 meet. In 1983, he was the Big 9 2-mile champion. After high school, he spent a year at Golden Valley Lutheran College, where his team placed 5th at nationals. He then transferred to Mankato State University, where he ran cross country, indoor track, and outdoor track. He was a captain for 2 years, and he ran in 3 national meets, placing 5th, 3rd, and then 2nd. The legendary Mark Schuck was his coach for both cross country and track. He was a very disciplined coach who believed in his runners. He gave me lifelong advice, not only for running, but for life in general. Kirk was an assistant cross-country coach for FHS for 2 years while his sons ran for the Falcons, and enjoyed offering not just team advice, but also advice to individual runners. He notes that it's so important for teammates to take care of each other. From his own experience, running taught him to be disciplined and to always work hard and to respect others and their abilities. Kirk is the son of Tom and Janet Miller, and his siblings are Ralph and Al. He is married to Mary Jo, and his sons are Gunnar, Wyatt, Marcus, and Davis. I'm very proud that I have 4 boys who also participated in sports while attending FHS. My oldest son even went to state in cross country, which makes us the first father-son duo to accomplish that. That's pretty cool. Congratulations, Kirk, and welcome to the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame class of 2025.
I'm very honored to be here tonight. The committee was very wise. That all very special to me. Like I said, I ran for 4 years and track for 4 years. My coach, Ryan Nelson, we know he was a very good coach, but we don't know that he tailored each person's individual, you know, you ought to coach them, and if you ran well during the summer, then you'd run further. You might want to walk 3 or 4 miles compared to a mile. Virgil was, like, talk about, very compassionate. He was a very nice person. He cared about you as an individual. When I went to college, I ran for Mark Schuck, which was at Mankato State. So I'm very fortunate to have a lot of people through Mankato that are here tonight, as well as some individuals that I ran with, just Scott Swanson, Chris Nelson, and Mike Swanson. So through them, we developed lifelong friendships and strong friends. My college teammates that are very important to me, a lot of times I would call them and ask them what they ran the last week. I figured the stronger they were, the better we were. But mine is very short. So in closing, running has been a lifelong sport for me and it's taught me a lot about life. One thing I'm very proud of is I've been married 35 years and that my wife is very strong in my life, as well as my 4 boys. So with that, I'll close everything.
Peyton Schultz Khalil is a 2015 graduate of Bethlehem Academy, is the daughter of Terry and Beth Schultz and the wife of Michael Khalil. Peyton and Michael reside in Naples, Florida. While attending Bethlehem Academy, Peyton was a 6-year letter winner in both volleyball and softball, and lettered in basketball as an 8th and 9th grader before giving up that sport and concentrating on the 2 other sports in which she was truly excelled. Peyton became the first 7th grader to ever play varsity volleyball for BA. Amazingly, had we not put Peyton into the lineup that year, we would have never reached the state tournament, states her coach, Belter. She was only a 3-rotation player that first year, but what she offered in those 3 rotations made a world of difference. And she was embraced by our seniors immediately once she was inserted into the lineup. In fact, they asked that we make that move. What followed that year was 3 more years of playing in the state championships match. It would likely have been a total of 5 years had Peyton not blown her ACL in the second match of the season at Marshall in her junior year. Then in the middle of her senior year, she fractured her elbow in the Apple Valley tournament, an injury that kept her out of the lineup until the final 2 points of the section championship, which BA won. At the state tournament, she was eased back into the lineup, and even though she only played the equivalents of 1 match and a half, the Cardinals won another state championship with Peyton making the all-tournament team, as well as being named All-State, despite only playing half the season. She ended up being a critical player on 4 state championship teams in 2009, 11, 12, and also 2014. It should also be noted that she and fellow inductee Lauren Matthews-Hanson were teammates and also classmates. Her individual volleyball awards included the following: All-Conference Honorable Mention as an 8th grader, All-Conference as a freshman, sophomore, and senior, All-State as a senior, All-State Tournament as a freshman and senior, reaching 1,000 career digs as a sophomore, and playing in the Minnesota Volleyball Coaches All-Star Game as a senior. As a 6-year varsity softball player, Peyton was All-Conference Honorable Mention as an 8th grader and All-Conference in grades 9 through 12. As a senior, she was the Faribault Daily News Player of the Year. Her junior year, she was Team MVP, and as a senior, she was elected MVP. She was also the captain her junior and senior years, and she made the all-section softball team her sophomore through senior seasons. After graduating from BA, Peyton played a year of volleyball for UW Stout and was the starting, libero as a freshman, setting records for digs. I'm sweating really bad, I'm sorry. She then transferred to MSU Mankato, wise choice, and redshirted her sophomore year. Although she was tabbed to be their libero the next season, Peyton decided to put her full focus on academics and graduated with a degree in accounting and finance. Peyton lists the following people as the most influential people in her journey: her parents, who were her first coaches, her head volleyball coach, Coach Belter, and her JO volleyball coach, Bethany Belter. Volleyball teammates, Carrie Ann Nass Wayland, Victoria Nass, Jenna Budd Hansen, and softball coaches Tom Langfeld and Steve Carpentier. Congratulations, Peyton, on being inducted into the 2025 class for the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame.
Good evening, everybody. First, I'd like to thank the Faribault Sports Hall of Fame Committee for this incredible honor. It's extremely special for me to be included in something that influential coaches and former teammates I looked up to are a part of. Considering the talent that has been inducted previously, I feel so proud to be joining such an elite group of people. It's difficult to wrap my head around my first day of volleyball practice being over 15 years ago. I can still remember Carrie Ann and Victoria Nass pulling into my parents' driveway to pick me up for our first summer practice. We grabbed Jenna Buddy along the way, and I couldn't help but think, am I crazy for this? The nerves evaporated pretty quickly thanks to all the girls that were there. They explained how the drills went and made me feel like I was part of the team. That was the first time I saw how upperclassmen should act. After watching the way they conducted themselves, both on and off the court and field, it's no surprise most of them are also in the Hall of Fame. They created a blueprint for how to be a great teammate and leader. Competing at a high level from a young age taught me to trust myself and go after things without hesitation. I didn't know what to expect going into that first practice, but I went anyways. I continued with that just go for it mentality, and I believe it's one of the main factors that contributed to my sports success. Little did I know that it would carry over into the real world. There was one volleyball practice where I had chased down a ball, and our side ended up winning the point. Ron stopped practice, looked at me and asked, "Did you think you could get that?" And I said, "Well, yeah," which I think threw him off for a second because he didn't think I would say yes. But then he went on to say something like, "Well, that's because you've been taking every opportunity you can to make those plays." And then he encouraged the rest of the girls to do the same because you never know if you can get there unless you try. Sports was the first place I experienced the highest highs, but also the lowest lows. I went from being a 7th grader, fortunate enough to be part of the state championship team, then winning again as a freshman and a sophomore to complete the first ever back-to-back. We experienced all the perks that came with making it to the state tournament, and we thought, what gets better than this? Junior year came, the year the best players commit to their dream school. All of a sudden, tragedy struck. It felt like someone had taken a hammer straight to the outside of my knee, and down I went. The next day, my biggest fear came true when the doctor said, "You've torn your ACL." I have a letter from my dad that he wrote when he was waiting on the MRI results. He reminded me that although the outcome could keep me out of volleyball for a long time, I was more than just a great player. He also reminded me that I was a captain for my team, and I had to learn how to contribute in other ways. Probably not the best thing I wanted to hear at the time, but I needed to remember that I still had a role to play. Through the injury, there were definitely ups and downs, but what came out of it was an intense drive to win. I wanted to prove to myself and everyone else that I could be just as good, if not better than before. Senior year, our team was special. I think we were considered the best team out of any class, and we were ready to prove it. About a third of the way through the season, disaster struck again. Shattered elbow, chances of playing that season slim to none. My softball coach, Tom Langfeld, told me he overheard some of his students talking about my second injury, and one of them said they would have just given up, but he said that wasn't the type of player that I was. I'll admit, part of me did want to give up, which would have been easier, but I had an entire team, my coaches, and my parents rooting for me and telling me it wasn't over. I'll always be thankful for my teammates I learned from along the way, but especially the ones that stepped up that year. A lot of them had to learn different positions and make adjustments, but thanks to their hustle, we made that championship happen. Although my college career wasn't as I'd always envisioned, those 2 years still brought valuable lessons and even better friendships. My just go for it attitude, combined with the non-air conditioned gym and our softball nice state drills, is probably what inspired me to follow my dream of moving to Florida. I always knew I belonged somewhere warm, and by some miracle, I made it happen. Shortly after moving, I met my husband, who is continuously supporting me in whatever I want to do. Mike, thank you for being here with me tonight, and I'm so lucky to have you as my forever teammate. Franz, you took a chance on me when I was a nervous 7th grader, and again the night before that championship game. I told you I was ready to play, although my surgeon would have disagreed, but you trusted my call. Thank you for believing in me and pushing me the best I could be. Thank you to my very first coaches, my parents, for always encouraging me to go out of my comfort zone, whether that was signing me up for sports all those years ago or sending me to camps all by myself. You were the first ones to show me how to be a good teammate. Dad, thanks for never getting too mad at me whenever I'd throw or hit the ball way past you in the backyard. I swear it wasn't on purpose. Those afternoons at the middle school when we'd switch between the batting cage and playing pepper are some of my favorite memories with you. Mom, you were and still are everything to me. You were my rock when I needed you, the best nurse, my first ever cheerleader, and shoulder to cry on. I am so grateful for you, and I love you both. Thanks again to the Hall of Fame committee for this honor, and congratulations to my fellow inductees.
Bob Tusna, son of David and Carol, and brother of Dan, Shelley, Brenda, Eugene, and Tim, is a 1984 graduate of Faribault High School. In his time at FHS, he excelled in football and wrestling. He proudly remembers that he started playing football in 2nd grade, and he continued to do so all the way through high school. He ended up lettering for 3 years and was a team captain his senior year. He was also all Big 9 honorable mention as a senior. As a high school wrestler, he was an important cog on 2 Big 9 championship teams, as well as being a member of the Falcon squad that took 5th place in the 1982 Minnesota State Tournament. His career record was 45, 11, and 3, and he was an individual state champion in 1984. Here's a quote from former Falcons head wrestling coach Dave Henry. I was coaching at Eden Prairie. We scouted Bob and knew that he had a dangerous lateral drop. Craig Trumpy wrestled a perfect match for 5 minutes and 45 seconds, leading the semifinal match. Bob explodes a stand-up, turns in on him, hooks up and laterals him for a 1-point escape and a 2-point takedown for the win. I could not believe it happened. What we failed to say in our scouting report was that Bob wrestles for a full 6 minutes. Believe it or not, I started coaching in Faribault the following week. Way to go, champ, and congratulations on your Hall of Fame induction. Bob was known for his lateral drop, most typically in the 3rd period when his opponent was tiring. Therefore, many times he was trailing his opponent when he would hit the 5-point move. In the state tournament semifinals in his senior year, he was trailing by 6 points in the 3rd period and was able to get a stand-up for 1 point and a lateral drop for 5 points to send the match into overtime. Bob then won in overtime 3-1. In the state finals, he wrestled Pete Walker from Austin, whom he had never beaten. In that championship match, he went away from his lateral drop and beat Walker by taking him down with singles. That match also went to overtime, and Bob became state champion by outscoring Walker 3-1. When asked what his key to success is, Bob simply states, hard work and honesty. He lists his parents as the most influential people in his life. Bob and his wife Kathy are the proud parents of Casey, Robin, Noah, and David. Congratulations, Bob, on your induction into the 2025 Faribault Sports Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much. It's truly humbling to be back here decades later, receiving this honor from a place that shaped so much of who I am. When I walked the halls of Faribault High School all those years ago, I never imagined I'd one day be standing here, inducted into the Hall of Fame. Wrestling wasn't just a sport back then, it was a way of life. Early mornings, late nights, sore bodies, a lot of heart. What I remember most though is the brotherhood, the coaches who believed in us, and the lessons that reached far and beyond the mat. To my coaches, thank you for the tough love, your guidance, your belief in what we could become, not just as athletes, but as young men. To my teammates, wherever you are today, thank you for being in the trenches with me. We pushed each other, we picked each other up, and we built something that we could be proud of. And to my family, thank you for every ride to practice, every word of encouragement, and every moment of support. I wouldn't be here without you. Time has passed, but the values wrestling taught me, discipline, resilience, and the power of perseverance is still with me every day. I'm deeply honored to be part of the Hall of Fame and proud to forever be a Faribault Falcon. Thank you.
This one's going to be a tough one. It's our final inductee for the evening. And first and foremost, we would like to express our sincere condolences to the family of Brad Tupa. As he passed away in June of this year, may this recognition of his accomplishments at least try to ease some of your sorrow. And I only learned this when Brent asked me to do this year. I had no idea. So again, I would personally like to send my condolences to the Tupa family. Brad grew up in Dundas and is the son of David and Cheryl Tupa. He and his wife Caitlin reside in Hong Kong. Brad was a 2000 graduate of Faribault High School. Brad's wrestling career is one of the most successful in FHS history. In addition, he had a highly successful career at Augsburg College, where he wrestled for 5 years and graduated with a major in history and a minor in math. In high school, Brad lettered for 4 years and had a career record of 85-16. He was team captain his senior year. In 1998, he took 5th place at the Minnesota State High School Wrestling Tournament. In 1999, he improved upon that by being the state runner-up. And in 2000, he achieved a state championship with an astounding record of 35-0. His high school coach, Tim Tusnow, recalls, in Brad's sophomore year, we were wrestling St. Michael Albertville at a tournament in Farmington. Brad was very unknown at that time, and he was wrestling one of St. Michael's best kids and keeping the match close. The opposing coaches were complaining and getting very upset that Brad was keeping the match that close. And in the end, Brad won the match and started to make a name for himself. At Augsburg, he was an All-American in both 2005 and in 2006. And he finished in 4th place nationally both years. Jeff Swenson, Brad's coach at Augsburg, wrote this about Brad's junior year. Brad finally had the opportunity to wrestle without injury, and he made the most of it. He was 12-7 a year ago and 31-8 this year. He's a great guy to have on your team. He's laid back, funny, and keeps things loose. He's committed to weight training and committed to becoming a national champion. He's a tireless worker. And he learned and deserved to be an All-American that year. He will earn and deserve to be a national champion next year. Clearly, Brad was not only an outstanding wrestler at both the high school and collegiate levels, but he was also recognized for his great work ethic, character, and willingness to continue to strive to improve himself. Congratulations, Brad, on being inducted in the Faribault Sports Class of 2025 in the Hall of Fame. And to accept this and give the speech is his high school coach, Jesse Armbruster.
Before I begin, I know, Jay, you have always talked so highly of your boys, and I've never understood why you've never talked about Matt's college career, now I get it. Matt is my next door neighbor as a Wartburg guy, and we got a couple of Augies over here. We need to talk to Haley and see if we can find you a different place to live. Good evening, my name is Jesse Armbruster, and I had the honor of being one of Brad's former coaches and a friend. It is with both pride and sadness that I stand here this evening and honor a young man who left us far too soon. Brad was more than just an athlete. He was a bright light, a fun-loving spirit, and someone whose smile and charm could light up an entire room. He had this sense of humor about him that would keep everybody laughing. He had a way of making people feel welcome and valued wherever he was. On the mat, Brad was an athletic marvel. He was something pretty special. He wrestled with flair, with confidence, and a fearlessness that was matched by very few. For the Falcons, as you heard, he was a 3-time All-State wrestler, finishing 5th, then runner-up, and finally winning the state championship in 2000 with a perfect 35-0 record. I remember being so proud of him in that moment. He closed his high school career, as you heard, with 85 wins against only 16 defeats. But as great as Brad's accomplishments were on the mat, his true greatness was revealed in his character. I'll never forget his junior year at the state championships. He was wrestling for the title, a match that I believed he was the favorite in, but he lost. Now, in that moment, most athletes, they would be crushed in defeat. They'd walk away devastated, probably angry. But Brad did something that I will never forget. He stood center mat and he applauded his opponent. An opponent who was overcome with joy. He was jumping around, celebrating with his coaches. Brad stood center mat and cheered for this man. As the two met in the center and shook hands, Brad then raised his opponent's arm in victory. The entire that moment, but more than that, the people who witnessed it knew that they had seen something very rare, something really special. Brad made that moment about the champion, not his own disappointment. And that's who he was. He was unselfish. It was a really special moment. He was always thinking of others. His success didn't end in high school. At the college level, again, Brad became a 2-time All-American, finishing 4th in the nation both in 2005 and in 2006, here in 74 career wins as an Augie. He served as team captain. He helped lead the team to a national championship, an achievement that took him and his teammates to the White House, where they were honored by the president. A pretty special moment. Brad's journey through wrestling, as well as work, allowed him to travel the world. Places like Slovenia, Hong Kong, where he would continue to make a name for himself. To his family, Brad was much more than an athlete. As Uncle Brad, he was larger than life. Always ready with laughter and love for Tara and Amy's children. To his parents, Dave and Cheryl, he was their pride and joy and that bright light in a happy world. And of course, we think of Kate, Brad's wife, who shared in his adventures, traveling the world and making a life of love and happiness for one another. He was truly a special individual. Today, as we induct Brad into the Hall of Fame, we celebrate not just the champion wrestler that he was, but the champion person that he was. His smile, his humor, his accomplishments, and most of all, his character will live on in our memories and in the stories that we tell. To his teammates, his coaches, to his family, and of course to the future Falcons who step on the mat, remember Brad's example. Winning, yes, it's an achievement, but character is a legacy. Brad showed that true greatness is found in how you treat others, even in your toughest moments. And if you carry that with you, his humility, his sportsmanship, his joy, you will honor him in the best way possible. So congratulations to Brad, our Superman. You're a Hall of Famer.
Outstanding job, Coach Armbruster. That was very difficult for you, and thanks for stepping up and doing that. Well, that'll wrap up our evening. I've got a few closing remarks. One, we're always looking for nominations. People ask how people get nominated. We've got nomination forms here. We've got emails. We've got different ways to communicate that. So please send those in as we're looking for nominations for the class of 2026 and beyond. Again, thank you and have a good evening. Thank you to Donna as well for interpreting. Have a good night, everyone.